Usually when you look at a map for a conflict, you can just trace the border,
Yeah,
right?
you find the front lines, point to who is fighting who.
Exactly. But if you look at the Middle East after the events of February 28th, that map is basically useless for you.
Oh, completely. The traditional lines are just gone.
Yeah. We are trapping a situation that has already triggered, like, a massive spike in global energy prices. And it's devolved into this bizarre, high-stakes blame game involving the world's most critical energy infrastructure.
And, the words being used in this conflict are functioning as weapons.
Literally moving faster and hitting harder than the drones in the air.
Yeah, the line between a physical military strike and a coordinated digital information campaign, that line hasn't just blurred, it has completely collapsed.
Which is exactly our mission today for you. We're doing a deep dive into a highly curated source. It's a comprehensive intelligence breakdown from a Patreon page called KULTE.
Right, and it details this intersection of kinetic warfare,
Right.
Actual bombs hitting physical targets, and the modern information war.
Specifically focusing on these really intense claims about false flag operations. But real quick, before we pull apart the mechanics of all this, I need to make a firm, mandatory disclaimer directly to you, the listener.
Yeah, this is critical to keep in mind.
The source material we're analyzing today contains highly charged, often contradictory political as military claims from multiple parties. We're talking Israel, Iran, the Gulf states.
Right, everybody is pointing fingers.
Exactly. So we are operating strictly as impartial analysts here. We're not endorsing any viewpoints, any intelligence claims, or any military actions from any party whatsoever.
We're just looking at the mechanics of the conflict, nothing else. We are solely conveying the reports and narratives from the source material so you can understand the current geopolitical board.
Beautifully said. So let's get into it. The mechanics of this specific conflict reached a boiling point on March 19th.
What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of the warning that came out that day.
Right. The source highlights this major public warning from a spokesman for the IRGC's Qatam Al-Anbaya central headquarters.
And for context, this isn't just like a random public relations desk.
No.
This is the Central Command for Iran's armed forces. It's the nerve center. And they announced that their intelligence indicates Israel is planning a covert physical attack on Saudi Aramco energy facilities.
With the explicit intention of framing Tehran for the destruction. Which, that fundamentally changes how we think about military intelligence, doesn't it?
It really does. You don't usually broadcast top-secret intelligence about an impending attack on your neighbor's oil infrastructure on, social media.
Right. But that is exactly what happened here. The source tracks how this warning was seeded digitally and then just rapidly amplified by Indian and Middle Eastern media networks.
Which is a very deliberate choice of channels.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a magician loudly telling the audience that someone else is about to do a trick just so nobody looks at their own hands.
That's a great way to put it.
But I have to ask, is this genuine preemptive intelligence aimed at deterring an actual attack? Or is it just a rhetorical weapon, like a fabricated warning deployed to sow doubt before anything even happens?
Well, to figure out the intent there, we really have to look at the chronological pattern. The timeline in the source is incredibly revealing. It's not an isolated thing.
So where does this pattern actually start?
Rewind to March 2nd. Iranian military sources, through the Tasnim news agency, formally accused Israel of orchestrating a drone attack on Aramco's Ras Tanura refinery.
And they didn't just deny involvement, right? They explicitly called it an Israeli false flag.
Exactly. And then the scope broadens. Iran's foreign ministry goes to Middle East Eye and alleges that Israel is behind acts of sabotage in Saudi Arabia, but also in Oman.
Wow, Oman too.
Yeah. They frame it as this coordinated Israeli effort to destroy regional peace agreements. And the information war even spills into Western media.
Oh, right, the Tucker Carlson report.
Yes. The source notes a report from Tucker Carlson claiming that authorities in Saudi Arabia and Qatar actually arrested Mossad agents.
Israeli intelligence operatives.
Right, who were allegedly planning kinetic operations, actual physical sabotage within their borders.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the rhetoric hits an entirely different gear on March 14th.
Oh, the Ali Larijani quote.
Exactly. The Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council warns about a, quote, 9/11 style false flag plot.
Yeah, that phrasing is heavy.
You don't use 9/11 style, unless you are trying to trigger a massive psychological reaction and command the attention of the global intelligence community.
Which sets the stage for what I think is the most fascinating piece of psychological framing in the entire source.
On March 16th, right, the Foreign Ministry spokesman, Esmail Bakai.
Yes. He makes this very specific declaration that whenever Iran's armed forces attack a target, they do so with courage and honor, openly declaring their actions.
So the implication is, if something blows up and nobody claims it, it has to be Israel.
Precisely. They are attempting to establish a brand of transparent aggression.
We're the honest aggressors.
Exactly. It's a logical trap to make their false flag accusations seem more credible.
But I mean, if you're a Gulf state leader staring at satellite imagery of your pulverized oil refinery,
you do not care about the brand of the missile.
not at all. And this is where we need to pivot, because while this crazy 4D chess blame game is happening, actual devastating physical attacks are happening simultaneously.
The physical escalation is staggering. On March 18th, Israel attacked Iran's South Pars gas field.
We really need to pause and explain South Pars for you guys, because this isn't just a regular gas field. It is the world's largest.
The absolute crown jewel of Iran's energy infrastructure.
Right, it's a massive pillar of their economy. So hitting South Pars, that's an attempt to sever an economic jugular.
And Tehran's retaliation reflected that severity. They initiated a massive wave of missile and drone strikes targeting infrastructure across the entire Persian Gulf.
They hit Qatar's Ras Laffan LNG terminal, right?
Yes, and major Saudi refineries and critical oil facilities in Kuwait.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener sitting at home? It's like someone knocking out your neighborhood's main power grid, and the resulting chaos causes the price of everything in your house to skyrocket.
And the human toll was catastrophic too. The source cites Al Jazeera reporting over 1,000 dead in Iran since the conflict began.
1,000, that's devastating.
It really is. Plus, the BBC reported Israel hitting Tehran continuously during Nowruz, the Persian New Year, while Iran fired salvos at Jerusalem.
So we have massive civilian casualties paired with precision strikes against the central arteries of the global economy.
Let's talk about the economic shockwave, because the numbers in the source are terrifying. Associated Press reports Brent crude surging over $116 a barrel as a direct result.
And mechanically, $116 a barrel is the threshold where global inflation just violently accelerates. Shipping costs spike, fertilizer costs soar.
And consumer goods jump in price almost instantly, but that's only half the crisis.
Right, the LNG supply.
Because the Ras Laffan terminal was hit, Qatar Energy had to suspend production. The global supply of liquefied natural gas contracted by nearly 20%.
Oh, 20%. Overnight.
Almost overnight.
That is, I mean, that's not just a rolling blackout. That's like sealing a room and instantly vacuuming out a fifth of the oxygen. Modern industrial economies cannot handle that.
Algorithms panic, futures skyrocket, factories in Europe face mandatory shutdowns. The whole architecture of global manufacturing begins to buckle.
Which punishes nations thousands of miles away from the actual kinetic conflict.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this economic devastation and physical destruction forces the neighboring Gulf Arab states into an incredibly precarious position.
A total geopolitical nightmare. The Saudi foreign minister told CBS News, and this is a direct quote from the source, what little trust there was before has been completely shattered.
To hear a diplomat say that publicly.
It means the regional architecture was held together by duct tape, and now even that is gone.
The source brings in some analysis from Chatham House here to map out this strategic trap. The Gulf states are basically facing an impossible choice between two catastrophic options.
Okay, let's break those down. Option A. They decide they've had enough, and they actively join the fight alongside Israel against Iran.
Militarily, forming a coalition seems logical to stop the drones.
Right, but geopolitically, domestically.
It's a ticking time bomb. The Gulf leaders know that an open military alliance with Israel would be deeply unpopular with their own citizens.
Because of the historical context, the religious optics, the Palestinian territories.
Exactly. It risks severe domestic unrest. They'd be trading an external military threat for an internal political collapse.
So option A secures the airspace, but potentially burns the country down from the inside.
Right. Which brings us to option B. Maintain a purely defensive posture. Stay technically neutral, lean on Patriot missile batteries, and just try to weather the storm.
But the Chatham House analysis suggests that's completely unsustainable, doesn't it?
Totally unsustainable.
Heh.
As Iranian attacks bypass defenses and burn down their sovereign infrastructure, the Gulf states bleed out economically.
And they look incredibly weak.
Exactly. In the Middle East, if you don't retaliate, you practically guarantee further attacks. Deterrence just evaporates.
Put yourself in the shoes of these Gulf leaders for a second. You're caught between a domestic crisis on one side and burning refineries on the other. Two foreign powers are using your territory as a physical and rhetorical battlefield.
And because trust is shattered, the paranoia is absolute. Every piece of intelligence from an ally might be a trap.
And every public warning from an adversary might be a prelude to a strike. It is a masterclass in destabilization.
It really is.
So, to summarize this deep dive for you, we've tracked how a massive physical conflict, one that drove crude oil to $116 and erased 20% of the global LNG supply, is being matched by an equally aggressive information war.
Where false flags and courageous attacks are basically the weapons of choice.
Laundering narratives and trapping neighboring states in an impossible vice.
And there's a final lingering thought that the KULT analysis really pushes us toward.
What's that?
Well, we live in an era where global energy markets are driven by algorithmic trading platforms, right? They parse news sentiment in milliseconds.
Right, they don't wait for independent verification of a crater.
Exactly. They price in the rumor of the explosion. So what happens when the lines between genuine warning and pure military propaganda become completely indistinguishable?
Oh, wow.
If an oil market spikes and supply chains contract purely on the warning of a false flag, does the truth of the actual attack even matter to the global economy anymore?
Because the economic damage is already done by the narrative?
Precisely. The weaponization of perception itself?
That is a chilling thought to leave you with, but an essential one for understanding the modern geopolitical board. We hope this deep dive leaves you feeling thoroughly informed and ready to look at tomorrow's headlines with a sharper, more critical eye. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.